Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. How do you know when is the right time to stop drinking alcohol or using drugs? If you've followed my testimonies over the years on this channel, you'll know that I've fought alcoholism and drug addiction for many years. I've had periods of sobriety along the way, but always pursued the illusion that I could one day drink like a normal person, that I was strong enough to get over this and sort myself out without any help and blah, blah, blah. But always, as each relapse happened, and they're all documented on the channel, my illness got progressively worse and worse and worse and worse. And along the way, there were many of what I thought were rock bottoms. You hear this word rock bottom, not just in addiction, but you hear it in life as well. You know, you reach that rock bottom from where the only way is up. The only way is to recover and build up. Well, I thought I'd reached rock bottom many times in the years I was fighting my addictions, but it never stuck. So that was never really the case. So how can you tell when it's time? How do you know? I'm going to attempt to explain and share my experience of that. And having talked to many, well, thousands probably, of other alcoholics and addicts over these last years of doing this, they're all very similar feelings. So hopefully they'll be helpful to you as we approach the Christmas season, when it may be the right time for you to make a change in your life and stop. Just before I do that, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, please. And also, if my videos have helped you in any way over the years, just click the Ko-fi link in the description, have a quick read and see how you can perhaps support the channel. Thank you. So yeah, rock bottoms. It's not that I'm saying I don't believe in rock bottom, because, you know, there are points in people's lives, like I say, whether addict or non-addict, when you know, the only way is up, if you like. You know, there's no doubting that. But for me, there was always that in the back of my mind every time that it didn't matter how bad the circumstances were, and they were really bad, as I say, as my addictions progressed, each time getting worse and worse and worse. You know, I've had my people I love most in my life, you know, my children, God bless them, wife, God bless her, you know, begging me, literally, and I mean begging me, not to kill myself, to stop. You know, and then I've obviously made promises and promises and promises, broken them every single time. So even my family, you know, the begging of my family, you know, you're going to die, you're going to die. None of that was enough to stop me. And I've been in situations where I've been in a dark room wanting to die, as I talked about in the last video, which I'll link to this. You know, every single day with that going through my mind, where I've just been drinking to stave off withdrawal, and the same with the drugs, just to stave off withdrawal. So there was no enjoyment anymore, you know, if that's the right word, because once you see, people stop drinking for different reasons. There are those people who are, you know, perhaps the early days, they love to go out and they have a binge and this, that and the other, and that's quite a regular thing. And drugs as well, whatever, you know, it's just a weekend thing. And then perhaps January comes after they've slaughtered themselves over Christmas, and they think, well, I'll give my body a rest for a month and do dry January. You know, you'll know that the reason they're quitting is just to give their bodies a rest, but they're not in the midst of addiction. But if they carry on, you know, as it gets progressively worse, because that's how I started, then they will find themselves each time this happens. It gets harder and harder and harder. So how did I know this time? How do you know the time's right? Because I'm coming up to 2 years today, as a matter of fact, the actual day 2 years ago that I stopped what I pray is the final time. As I've said many times on these videos, you know, you get a daily reprieve. I make a decision every single morning, you know, not to pick up a drink. If you don't pick up the first drink, one day at a time, that's the only way forward in sobriety, really, having asked for help first. They're all standard things which I talk about a lot in my videos. But what was different this time? What made me, because I never asked for help before, and that's the first change. What made me do that? What was the point? Well, you'll know what that point is, because eventually you'll reach it. Unfortunately, there are some people that go over that tipping point, and I've known quite a lot of people like that, and they're now unfortunately no longer with us. They've passed on, because it will kill you. Once you're reaching these sort of points, you know, if you don't listen to what your gut and your heart is telling you at a certain point, you know, and like I say, it doesn't, you know, rock bottom is you'll know when the time is right, and you'll know because you will be having absolutely no enjoyment. You will have lost almost everything in your life that you hold dear. Your friends, your relationships, your career, money. You may not have lost your home and be struggling to find somewhere to sleep. You won't be eating properly. You'll just be eating shit because all your money will be going on drugs and alcohol. You'll be in a permanent state of withdrawal generally, and just be drinking to stave off withdrawal symptoms. You'll be in a pit of extreme darkness, and even that's not enough. You know, and God bless them. There are a lot of people who stop earlier than that, and congratulations to you. You know, and it's not that, you know, they just reach a point much earlier in the journey where they've had enough. But there is a point, a tipping point, I call it, the point when you're done. And literally, when everything else is gone and the only thing left is you breathing, I found myself in a hospital bed close to death. That's what it took for me. I hope it doesn't take that for you. I hope you find a way out earlier than I did. But I reached a point when I wanted to live. I knew in a little bit inside me, I've had a little bit of hope. I wanted to live. For me, yes, but also for my kids, grandkids, obviously they're now, you know, so important. So that little bit of hope then spurred me on. I said, I'm done. And I surrendered. I knew that was the end of the road. My gut, my heart, everything told me that I'd had enough. I was exhausted. They say sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And I was sick and tired of it. Absolutely broken. Like I say, I hope it doesn't take you that long. But that was my final point. The point where I said, I am done. I've had enough. I can't do any more of this. And I want to live. And I want to find all the gifts of sobriety that everyone always promises. And then from that point, I just said, please help me. I said a little prayer. I'm not ashamed to admit it. And said, God, please help me. And I then, via my daughter getting the message to me, asked for help. And when I asked for help, and it was received with love, you know, it was given, with love and no judgment and with knowledge. And I felt wrapped in that warm embrace. I knew I'd surrendered and I gave into that process as well. Then the rest is one day at a time. It's not easy. Is my life perfect now? Of course it isn't. If for those who are old enough to remember, you know, we're not in an episode of Little House on the Prairie. You know, life is a shitter sometimes. And I've not got much money at all. I'm grateful for the modest pension I live off, but I've no spare money, and I don't, you know. So the fear of financial insecurity is still with me, because we're all struggling, aren't we? And things come back into my life slowly but surely. You know, it's not perfect. You know, I battle every day like we all do. But it's 1,000 times better than it was when I was in alcoholism and addiction. There's no doubt about that. And I have the love of a fellowship behind me and the support of a fellowship behind me. My family, the most important thing in my life, you know, my children, my grandchildren. My grandchildren have never seen me intoxicated, and I pray never will. My children look at me with pride and love, you know, and respect. And they begin to trust me when I say things, whereas all that trust had gone out the window before. These are the precious gifts of sobriety. Those things. They're not the monetary things, the material things. It's the gift of love and trust and self-respect and integrity. It takes discipline and consistency and a strong daily routine. Get those in your life. Your daily routine in tablets of stone. I'll share a video on that very shortly. And then practice it with discipline and consistency, and ask for help and have support behind you. Good luck, my friends. Have a think. Do you want to change your life today? Have you had enough? Do you want to find true peace, happiness and serenity? If so, make the change today. Carpe diem. Seize the day today, my friends. Much love. Bye-bye.